And Trouble, I still remember what Treatz told us yesterday. They have something planned today in draft. They want to be creative again. And I just want to see where it's going to pan out.
I mean, I feel like the Sylas flex was really important for them. Being able to actually have more creative drafts is very important for them, especially when you're playing against XL. Treatz said, I don't necessarily find them very innovative, right? It's just that sometimes the drafts work, sometimes they don't. But I feel like it's the same thing for SK. Sometimes you draft 3 lanes that have no pressure at all. Sometimes you go ham with all 3 lanes. And I'd love to see the same situation here, because XL are one of the strongest early game teams that we have, and SK seem to want to challenge, especially with how they looked yesterday. So yeah, having Jezu and having Patrik playing that Kalista so well, I would expect the champion to be banned, this time from XL side though, because blue side is on SK Gaming.
Opening with the 2 Enchanter bans. The cat is gone, Seraphine is gone again. Sorry, Trouble, we're not going to see the champion today. But what are we looking to see in the last banning phase, Betty?
I mean, Kalista has to be a high priority here. There's also GP. Yesterday, GP kind of fell to the wayside. Typically, it was still banned a lot, of course. Many European teams were respecting the power that the Pirate can provide. But yeah, right now I'm thinking Kalista, I'm thinking GP, and the only other one is Ornn to think about, because with the Gnar removed, Ornn's priority and teamfighting prowess also increases. And with the Zeri being removed, this heavily suggests to me that SK is looking for a Kalista trade, which then suggests to me that they will go Kalista. XL will then potentially even answer with a Draven of their own, if that's the direction that they feel confident with. But I would be shocked if SK don't prioritize, because remember, typically, SK always has Kalista banned against them. When we think back to previous splits, I always mention it. It's that Kalista Jarvan that they were so well known for in that bot lane in particular. So I would be shocked if they didn't.
Now okay. That's a surprise for me.
So typically, Renata makes any 2v2 lane almost an instant win scenario. She's one of the strongest enchanters down bot. She can also play very aggressive level 1, and depending on what carry you choose to pair her up with, you can very easily win the 2 versus 2. Whether it is the Draven next to her versus the Kalista, or the Kalista versus whatever else, we've seen the LCK use Renata as a tool for level 1 and level 2 aggression.
I've never seen someone so excited to lock in Ornn before. Did you see Finn there on the player cam? He was just like pumping his chest. He was like, I'm the Ornn god today, ready to get into the team fights. And it seems that XL already solving their engage issues from yesterday. Now they have a reliable way to start the fight. And we're gonna get a Janna coming out from Mikyx.
Okay, so we saw this in the NOC. Kasing actually brought the Janna right next to Draven. The team was pretty much unkillable, and it was very playable into a Kalista lane as well. So if SK Gaming want to reply right here with a Kalista Renata, which is, if not the strongest, one of the strongest 2 versus 2s down the bot lane, Janna replies really well into that.
Wow, they're actually going to blind pick the Poppy as well. Typically, we see Poppy as an answer to things, like you were talking about it, Trouble, yesterday, about as a common response to things like Lee Sin. Yeah. Still also very good matchup to things like the Wukong as well.
There you go.
The fact that they blinded, and we also heard it from Patrik, suggesting that
It's a Draven.
He's comfortable on the pick. Yeah, I mean, like, things are kind of going as we expected, right? Because you want to take the Poppy away because you also want to guarantee yourself the Kalista, because if you don't lock it in here, there's the risk that XL get it for themselves. But in the event that the Kalista does come in, which it does, Patrik immediately responds with the Draven. So nothing too surprising. XL getting themselves a pretty strong 2v2 bot side of the map, and we're going to see a lot of action down towards bot lane.
Okay, I might disappoint you here and say we might not see a lot of action from the sort of Janna plus Draven. The way I have seen it being used over at the NLC, of course, over in the ERLs, is the fact that you want to keep Draven relatively safe through laning phase. You build a bunch of stacks onto him, and suddenly someone will int on a side lane, and the Draven will cash about 1.3 to 1.4k gold, which then instantly puts him in a better position to fight Rift Heralds and to fight next Dragons to come.
I'm curious as to what the Sylas priority is going to be right now, because obviously we talked a lot about it earlier in the day, but when you look at an option for SK, they've already showcased that they can play the Sylas top. There is a real risk that this could be locked in as an answer to the Ornn. That way it gives SK more forms of engage, but also Sylas against a Janna gives you a lot of flexibility too, so you can have both the engage and disengage options of both the Janna and the Ornn. XL choosing to remove the Gragas suggests to me that they may even look to blind the Sylas themselves, depending on how highly they value it. But we have been seeing a lot of Lissandra come out from Nukeduck. Given that they have been tailoring more towards teamfight, it wouldn't surprise me if they want their primary damage to come from jungle and AD, while keeping Nukeduck primarily on that utility role.
And that will give also Sylas even more value, I feel like, VoD, if you lock in something like a Lissandra and you also have an Ornn and you also have the execute tool from the Draven, the more you give to the Sylas, the more value he actually gets. So XL need to be very careful here, either pick it for themselves, which at this point you don't necessarily have way too many good ultimates to choose from unless it's a Renata ult. But if the Volibear gets locked in here, it's not the greatest matchup into the Poppy, but it is definitely a Markoon champion.
Well, I really like it just because when you think about Kalista, one of the best ways of dealing with her is just like point-click CC, right? She's typically very mobile. Volibear, flash, stun, done, right? Like it's a very straightforward combo. It sets up the Ornn follow-up very nicely as well. They just now need to lock in that reliable. They need a bit more AP damage coming out from their mid lane. But I'm curious as to what direction SK will take it because they still need to get their 2 solo laners. But we talked extensively about the Sylas, and there it is from SK. So again, like SK have done a lot of kind of what we expected them to do.
You didn't like this champion yesterday, but do you think it would make more sense today, VoD?
No, I don't.
Yes, yes, 100%. No. I think a Shyvana here will tank the entire front line. I think what was missing from the Shyvana yesterday, where Wonder picked it if I'm not wrong, is the fact that Demonic is so important for this champion as a second item, and especially into things like Volibear and Ornn. You deal percentage damage, you get that extra damage from Demonic as well when you turn into this dragon, so you provide so much room for your Kalista to play this team fight. Whoever walks into a Shyvana that has Demonic and Gauntlet just simply melts down.
Oh my god. I think XL's comp is just so much better. I think that they have like a very traditional front to back. They have so many tools to protect their backline with Taliyah and Janna in particular. Their engage is really strong. And I think that SK kind of like, they need to find advantages in the early game in order to be able to control this game because I think that they're going to get outscaled. So I'm really excited to see this Taliyah pick. I think into a highly mobile comp like Kalista, Sylas, Poppy, Shyvana, like her E just gains so much value. And we've seen it over in the LPL. Rookie is a big fan of the Taliyah that takes advantage of like the mobility of champions. And
it's a champion that makes sense for Nukeduck, I think, in the mid lane trouble, given what we've been used to seeing from them. But SK Gaming, I think they hit all the goals they wanted in this draft also.
I think so too. I feel they have 3 very active lanes, especially after level 6 for Shyvana. You do get that dragon form. You do call your jungle towards the top side. You can actually punish there. Poppy as well, very heavy ganking champion. Definitely bot lane wants to play aggressive. I think this is the best level 1 bot lane there is in the league right now. Renata, Kalista can go aggressive off the get-go, level 1, and get a kill into Janna Draven.
I think a lot of the responsibility, as we said earlier, is going to fall on SK in this early game. While typically we expect that from XL, SK is going to emulate similar style to yesterday. We'll see if they can play with confidence. Sertuss on the Sylas is going to be important. He had a great performance yesterday. Let's see if he can do it again today against Nukeduck.
Yeah, we'll see if they can reciprocate what they did yesterday as both teams are getting to head onto the grid. Let's get ready for game 1, SK Gaming versus XL.
Fuck, I'm so excited for Drake.
Yeah.
Anyone else excited for Draven Janna?
I'm so excited for Draven and Janna.
Excited for Draven Janna. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hello, everyone. I'm Medic. This is Guldborg. He's got his little pet as well.
Bio merch.
It's the most sellout anyone's been this weekend, man. But yeah, here we are. First game of day 2 of week 2. SK versus XL. Of course, SK with a huge win yesterday as they managed to take down G2 in only their 2nd win of the split.
Yeah, and in contrast to that, XL falling to Astralis as well, completely subverting the expectations that we would have about the 2 teams. And I'm quite happy about it. Going into today, and I saw that we had to do this, I was like, it might be a little one-sided. SK versus XL. XLs have been looking really good lately. But I think they showed some dents yesterday, and SK as well, with Sertuss specifically in that mid lane taking control, really had a solid performance.
Yeah, I think SK stepping up yesterday would be more the narrative I would go for than XL struggling, because although XL did struggle, they were also 11,000 gold ahead, and then they just couldn't really play their draft into the enemy draft, right?
If you're going to lose a game, it's not those kind of games you're too unhappy about, because you're like, well, we did a lot of right, and we know what went wrong in the next game.
Just picked the wrong 5 champions in the game, didn't really close out on our windows. Here, though, let's talk a little bit about these drafts, because you were very excited by this Taliyah pick to round things out.
I think it's just very clever as an R5 coming through from XL, kind of identifying the fact that pretty much all of the champions that matters on SK's got a dash. Yes, Shyvana will be invulnerable, but the fact that you can take control in a team fight and create space around a Poppy, around a Sylas, around a Kalista, which, moves with all her auto attacks, really puts a break on what SK wants to do, and specifically for SK, something they were really good at doing yesterday, it was the team fighting aspect. It was fighting those fights.
Definitely was. And as we have a look through this early game, I am drawn to the fact that Finn has gone first strike on the Ornn. Not something we too commonly see. Often see Unsealed Spellbook. Obviously thinking he can harass with the Q a little bit in this lane. He has more range than Jenax does.
Can you check if that's been done before, actually?
I'm having a look at LOL VVV, great website if you want to look at pro builds. Most of them are either Grasp or Unsealed Spellbook. This might be the first strike one we've had.
That might just be human error and might just be a mistake, but I'm not going to call it out just yet. I'd love to hear Finn sort after the game, though, about that rune specifically.
I will say as well to our producers, if we can at some point find out how much gold he has earned off the first strike, that would be amazing. It's very difficult to do in the moment, needs one of our observers to look into it, but we'll see if we can keep you guys updated on that at home.
Now, split map situation right now. Currently, Markoon on the top side, clearing the blue buffs. Gilius down towards the bot side, not spotted an award, and here he comes.
Flashes forward, gets the knockback, but immediately Patrik flashes away the handshake, only brings Mikyx back, and he still has a flash of his own to get away from this. Both summoners burnt on Patrik, but nothing else lost for XL.
Yeah, but I wonder actually right now if they had the vision on Markoon. There is a ward in Viva, but Gilius, I think he's currently clearing out the Scuttle Crab, might be moving in towards the blue side himself now. Jenax kind of low on the turret, and he's only got Ghost, so the outplay potential on the tower really isn't a lot.
There's the Ghost. Jen's going to try and dodge away. Of course, no hard CC on the Shyvana. Stunned up, rooted up. Finn looking for a bit more damage. Burst blood over to XL.
Yeah, so the cross map there just works out for XL. They decide to split up the map. Markoon 2 camps taken. Gets to just completely go up towards the top lane. Finn with a stacked up wave. And it's just that easy for XL.
And no summoners burned for Finn as well. And this wave pushing out towards him means that he doesn't have to burn the TP to come back here. Would lose a couple of minions. You can see him walking his way back across with the double Ruby Crystal. Good early start though for XL. SK yesterday, their early game was really what catapulted them into that win versus G2.
Gilius coming in here, hex flashed over the wall.
Nukeduck just holds the flash. Doesn't even have to use it yet. Did pop the Ghost on the Unsealed Spellbook. But Gilius, even yesterday, he would often use his Steadfast Presence, that circle around him, relatively early on. And I think sometimes he can be a little bit more reactive in using it, rather than using it when you initiate the gank, looking to get on top of your opponent and then use it when you've knocked them back.
Well, I think that's fair for yesterday. Doing against Draven, Janna, and Taliyah is not really going to matter in that circumstance. But at least the extra movement speed's of course nice. And I actually like the fact that he was spot on an award, so what he did, he hex flashed over the blue wall and kind of came in a position where Nukeduck had the information he was there, but didn't have the information that he was all of a sudden creating the space in between the hex flash.
Gilius constantly out on the map here, just trying to be a thorn in the XL side. Now needs to go and start his camps again. Has yet to reset. Markoon, of course, already back and has that Balmy Cinder. So he's going to be ahead in terms of clear speed on this Volibear for the next while. And
the fact is as well that the camp respawns on the top side of the map when the level 2 Grom respawns will actually match up with the pathing that Markoon has. So if XL wants to go aggressive in the future on the top side again, the camps actually line up for it. So I could expect like a top side invade 1 minute, 2 minutes into the game, or later into the game now as well.
So if XL decide to do that, their early game was not a problem yesterday. Had a massive lead versus Astralis and just kind of struggled to close it out. SK, on the other hand, had one of their best early games so far in the split. And a lot of their win came down to Jezu as well on this Draven, having an absolute stellar performance. After he cashed out that first time in a 1-for-1 trade, he was just a dominant force on the map for SK.
I think a lot of that also came down to, you know, the duo they were playing, Draven, Nautilus. Treatz was so willing to send it every time. Just throw his body in there. I was speaking to him after the game, and he was like, you know what, I don't care if I die. I just need to set up my team. We don't have the same thing on the likes of Renata, Glasc here instead. It's more about really, you know, making sure you stay alive so you can help your teammates survive. But Jezu for sure on the Draven was a force to be reckoned with. Here's that invade I talked about as well. Might see a top lane dive instead, but Gilius is around.
Really good call on the possible invade coming out from XL. Nukeduck on his way as well with that Weaver's Wall. They'll try and cut Gilius off as they look for the call of the Forge God. Gilius, of course, no flash, nowhere to go, no red smite for him yet either. Gilius falls to Nukeduck, and now Jenax needs to clear out this wave because XL could still look to collapse. They burnt quite a little bit to get Gilius down, so maybe they'll just take that single kill and get out.
It's the fact that Genx as well had the ultimate now. I don't think there's too much to actually lock him down, so he would probably get out afterwards. Just, you know, get back to mid lane, get Nukeduck to pick up the wave, unless Sertuss, if anything, to Sator it. Doesn't really look like it. But to go back to the point, I think XL, they just read the map correct there. They know exactly that, you know what, I cleared this camp. I know when it's going to be up. I know when we can look for a play specifically. So the positioning for Markoon here, it was telegraphed, it was perfect, and it was all that mattered. And I think Gilius gets into a position where he expects that Genx is going to get dove, but unfortunately, they just turn onto him immediately. Nukeduck is there ready for it as well, and now bot lane action.
Lots of spears in the back of Patrik here. Jezu flashing over the Howling Gale. Patrik low, Treatz on the chase as well. Patrik nowhere to go, but dives into the bush. The shield not enough. Jezu gets the kill, and now they're chasing down Mikyx, who's going to flash away. Pierce not enough to follow him up, but in a 2v2, SK's bot lane comes out on top.
And just as you highlighted him before, Jezu and Treatz as well this time around. Beautiful flash over the Howling Gale to solidify that kill. So when the top lane was kind of falling apart, well, at least SK now got a reliable bot lane to count on, and specifically into the Draven lane, which is traditionally regarded a favorable matchup for the Draven.
You can see XL reacting to this, knowing that their bot lane's been forced back, will then TP Finn down towards the bottom lane, and their bot lane can go towards top to look for the Rift Herald. We'll have another look at this. It's a good handshake to start it off.
Yeah, beautiful handshake. And the thing is, they put the hostile, not the hostile takeover, but the bailout on Jezu immediately. So Patrik knows, well, if I start trading with it and he dies, well, he'll still kill me with the wind afterwards. So I have to kite it out. I have to wait for it to get removed. Unfortunately, when that finally happens, he's already taken too much damage. There's nothing he can do about the situation.
A lot of people forget that bailout gives you attack speed and movement speed when it's on you.
Towards the enemy,
Towards your enemy. Makes it a lot harder to trade into you. XL here using the fact that their bot lane had to back to try and get tempo over the Rift Herald, but all of SK on this top side of the map. Finn working his way up here as well. Did burn the TP to get towards the bottom side. 3,000 HP now on the Rift Herald. SK going to try and fight it. Hostile takeover not available for Treatz. Gilius can't really walk through the worked earth. The Rift Herald is smited by Markoon. He'll pick up the eye. They're looking for Mikyx. No flash on the Janna. The rest of XL should be able to get away from this one. Markoon trying to back in the pit will be allowed to escape. Sertuss still has a Stormbringer here if needed. Not even required. SK get one kill, but the Herald does go over to XL.
So that can still be a worthwhile investment, and giving up a support for that play really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. You can use this tower, or this Herald rather, to take down a tower immediately. 4 plates has already been taken on the bot side. If you want to try and push Draven back into the game against the Kalista, that's a point of attack you can have as well. Problem for you with that is that when you finally reach that 40-minute mark, teleports will be a thing again, and Genx, you know, has the teleport advantage against Finn right now.
Attempted clear of the wave here by Finn. Does manage to get quite a lot of them down, and means the dive would be a little bit harder. Hostile takeover coming in. Finn trying to flash away, just charges away from the edge of that hostile takeover. Isn't caught. Able to escape for now.
I'm not too sure about this play because Markoon has Herald on the bot side. This can be a stacked up wave, and you can even see Patrik now. He's using his ultimate to clear the wave, to crash it immediately after the Drake gets taken. Now Nukeduck from the mid lane can make his way down towards the bot side. They can set it up with the Rift Herald, and all of a sudden SK, they're losing tempo because they don't have that important tool that is the Rift Herald. I think they're very over aggressive on the top side against an Ornn specifically, and it's costing them now.
It's going to cost them an entire tower down here. Patch is going to get a lot of gold infusion, currently sitting 700 gold behind, but expect that to skyrocket back towards his favor pretty rapidly. Charge in by the Rift Herald. You can see Patrik goes ahead in terms of total gold. For the moment, though, SK still in an okay position in this game, still getting some gold onto Jezu off towards that top side, but XL showing us, once again, a relatively strong early game.
Jax looking for a bit of poke, and you see them. The reason why Shyvana gets played a decent bit there. No ability power nerfs to think that's just the base damage of the Shyvana E coming out. Does a ton of damage. 1 HP? Oh.
It was never. You built up that way too much.
Imagine if it happened. Imagine though.
I mean, I can imagine a lot of things, including Yuumi being removed from the game, but it's still not going to happen, you know, Guldborg?
Oh, well, you never know. Never say never.
True. Have there been champions removed from League of Legends? I don't think we've ever actually like removed.
Yeah, I think the first thing we removed was the Chemtech Drake, like outside of items.
But
RIP,
we can still hope. We can still dream. At the moment, though, SK dreaming of a way to gain control of this game once again. Very good segue.
Nice segue. Yeah, I should learn of that. Mine yesterday wasn't as clean as that one.
That's tough, you know. I think you're definitely improving on your segues generally.
We'll try. But yeah, as well, once again, now Cam's for Markoon is in a way where he's pathing up towards the top side. And just with that, They took the bot lane turrets. Plates are still up for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So they can still look to utilize aggression. But SK, they're actually reading this quite well. They've put Sertuss and Gilius in the bush. Mikyx
puts the ward down, has the flash. Gilius trying to chase in, knocks him into the wall, and there's nowhere to go for Mikyx. Sertuss with his second kill of the game. Good pick there by SK.
Yeah, I think that's really good reads from SK. They understand the point right now is that they can't be on the aggression, so they need to play reactive, but they're doing it quite well. Handshake on Markoon.
He's got Stormbringer, he's got flash, he's fine. It's just more being a hassle for your
Reading
opposition.
them real quick with a handshake.
Okay, do you wanna play a little game, Guldborg?
Oh, I love games.
Okay, Ornn, first strike. First time we think we've seen it competitively, okay?
Okay.
At the 10, oh, we'll wait for a second. Whirling Death coming out here from Sertuss. Oh, it's fine. First time we've seen it competitively, we think. At 10 minutes, as Gilius looks for a bit more time. Please, guys, Gilius, you're not going to be able to do anything here. Markoon's chasing forward. Gilius just running. Realizes he can't do much. Anyway, Ornn, first strike. First time we think we've seen it competitively. They might look for a Nukeduck in the mid lane now. Flash handshake, Nukeduck has to flash away. Ornn, first strike. First time we think we've seen it competitively. At the 10-minute mark. How much damage do you think he's got out of his first strike?
116.
Okay. And how much gold do you think he's generated?
Oh, no, sorry, that was the gold I thought.
Oh, 116 gold. How much damage do you think?
I don't actually know the counts.
Right?
Yeah, well, Gilius is going to hold it there for a second.
He's got 87 damage and 122 gold out of it.
Oh, I was so close with the gold.
You were so close. I don't think it's worth it, personally.
Well, we'll see. It's a late-game rune, actually. I think that's a little bit of a misconception. People, you never know.
The call of the Force God's just going to absolutely
Yeah, it's going to proc it beforehand. Now, Gilius looking again. Mikyx caught out. Still has flash.
Mikyx nowhere to go. Call of the Force God coming down towards that bottom side as Finn tries to trade with Jenax, but Jenax should just be able to walk this one out. The flame breath, though, with Nukeduck coming in from the side as well. Jenax, no Weaver's Wall for 2 seconds. Nukeduck won't go any further. Jenax able to escape. Whirling Death, though. Cross map, cross map.
Surely not. Sure.
Surely not. Doesn't hit.
That's a close one. Unfortunately, not enough. And now we are gearing up to a point where one team will have to make a decision in terms of what objective you will be prioritizing. 1 minute on the Rift Herald, 1 minute on the Mountain Drake. It's going to be difficult picking up both. XL already in a position where they are stacking up the Drakes. They picked up the first Herald, and they are still driving the tempo a little bit, although the gold right now completely even between the teams. And just from the posturing we have now from XL, looks like they're going to be prioritizing that Mountain Drake.
You can see SK as well got a lot of gold on their carries. Markoon in a pretty strong position in terms of against Gilius. He is ahead in gold, but Sertuss and Jezu leading the charge in total gold this game. Sertuss already got up towards that Everfrost. Jezu on his way towards his first completed item. It's the power of Kalista when you can gain control of a lane is indomitable. She's incredibly strong. We haven't seen it that much in EU, and I have seen a lot of people being like, stop picking Kalista, she's not great. But she can do a lot of work. We saw it yesterday with Comp. We're seeing it today a little bit, at least, with Jezu.
And, I mean, he's going to have his work cut out for him as well, because he's playing into a Taliyah. Once again, like, the ground between the Taliyah and the Kalista is going to be incredibly difficult to pilot just due to the zoning that will come out from those rocks here. So, cross-map will come through. This is what we talked about a minute ago. You can only pick between one of the objectives. So, while XL is on the bottom side of the map, Gilius and SK is going to be on the top side of the map, and it's going to be a trade-off objective. Both teams not necessarily unhappy about it. XL, of course, can continue their Drake stacking, and with the Cloud Drake now coming out, being the soul for them, unfortunately not what they'd prefer, but I'm not going to complain about the Drake stacking all around.
Every game's a Cloud Soul at the moment.
I swear, we had it 2 of our games yesterday, and we're getting it in this game as well. Also in my solo queue games, I keep getting that terrible Drake.
I mean, it can do stuff, and we talk about it every time. It's like you get slow resist out of just having the dragon and not out of the soul. The Cloud Soul gives you movement speed after you ult. It is better than nothing, but it's not the one we really like to see now in these sorts of games. Rift Out charges in. Crowd goes mild as the mid lane.
But can we get a second one? No. I really like it when they do that.
Yeah, but you're really excited for the second charge. I mean, never gonna happen.
One day. Now, Sertuss once again being a little creative. Nukeduck trying to check it with the Q. Still not found anything.
I don't know.
Full sense of security right here.
Yep, he thinks he's safe, and he's not. Dragon's Ascend available, Everfrost coming in. They look for it onto Nukeduck. Stopwatch used. The rest of XL are on their way here. Weaver's Wall gets Nukeduck away. Now Markoon not in the best of shapes as Sertuss and Jenax try to put the damage down. Mikyx on his way down towards this bottom side, but he will just protect his mid laner and jungler and then retreat with them into their own jungle once again.
Clean getaway from XL here. There's no counter response. You just had Finn on the top side, pushing in the top side wave. And that's what we're looking at right here. It's just tit for tit, tat for tat. And you can see it. They tried to get aggressive on the bottom side, but SK actually coming in with good reads. SK not so proactive, but I think they're very good at reading what XL needs to do. And that's like in league aspect, you also need to understand, how do I win the game and how do my opponent win the game? Because then you can reverse engineer the game plan. And I think SK is doing that a little bit right here.
Doing a really good job so far. And in case anyone's wondering, that Weaver's Wall, the start of it is a channel for a second, but you can be CC'd out of it. It's just SK had used all their CC for the initial engage, and so Nukeduck knew he was safe to channel it and get the hell out of there. We'll see later on if perhaps a handshake or, Gilius with that steadfast presence can stop it. Genex now off towards the top side. Needs to build up that rage meter. You can only use your ultimate on Shyvana when that bar beneath the health bar is fully red. So you can build that up just by passively being in the game, but also by auto-attacking. That's what Genex has been trying to do on the wave. Markoon and Nukeduck forced away as Gilius and Treatz make a little invasion into this jungle. Gilius, yeah, he's going to just walk all the way around using those little cloud donuts to get the movement speed. What do you call it? Cloud areas.
Yeah.
Windy places.
You're the one with the linguistic skill here, so I feel like you should be the one probably naming these zones, but...
Well, I mean, we used to call the Chemtech zones the fart zones, and I don't think we can... Can we co-opt that for the cloud zones?
I'm not too sure about that one. Still, normal posturing in between them. I think what's really going to blow open a fight is going to be that control for vision that we see right now. It's quite even between them. SK has the advantage that they taken the vision control in the river. And Gilius with a flash could try and look for Mikyx.
Goes on to Mikyx once again, the flash and the heal available for Mikyx. Flashes across the wall, Call of the Forge got used. Genex goes in with the Dragon's Breath. Good hostile takeover, but the Monsoon from Mikyx will heal him up a little bit. They pull back Finn as they look for a little bit more damage. Finn still has the flash, gets away. That Ignite is ticking it with the shield. It will not be enough. SK able to force XL back, but they don't get any kills out of it.
That's the big thing, though. That's 4 members of SK in the mid lane. Last one, Sertuss standing down in the bottom lane, getting waves, losing waves on XL size, and also pushing down that turret. So slowly but surely, SK are getting a few advantages. Genex looking for the red buff, but Markoon does have that spike.
He's trying to give it over to Patrik. Patrik gets at the axe. Slightly stronger than the Dragon's Breath. Nukeduck down towards this bottom side. He's going to try and catch out Sertuss, and Gilius waiting in the wings in case anything went on, but the tower doesn't quite fall, so SK able to get some chip damage down here from that mid lane play, giving Sertuss a bit of free time. Hasn't been able to garner too much more for them.
Yeah, okay, LDR has just been finished up by Patrik here. I think it's brilliant timing to complete it with the Eclipse, of course. Cloud Drake, 40 seconds. You need every advantage you can get setting up for this objective. So far, SK has been doing an excellent job in securing their own perimeters in terms of the vision control, and it allows them to be the first on the attack. It's why it's so difficult for XL to actually pilot the team fights, because even when they're 5 members against 4, because SK initiated the fight and they found the pick, they can't really play the fights out on the side of XL.
Especially if Mikyx is caught out first, it can be difficult for XL. They are making their way towards this top side of the map, looking for that top tier 1, still yet to crack through it. Still only got 1 tower in this game. Only that bot lane turret has fallen, but this should be 2. SK all grouped up in the mid lane. You can see it's kind of a split map situation as SK will take the Cloud Drake, but for it, they will lose their top tower.
Yeah, but at the same time, the cross map is still going to be answered on the bottom side. Sertuss is going to be taking the outer turret on the bot lane instead, so it's still a tower for tower. Objective goes over to SK. SK are just the team in control of the game right now.
Patrik sitting at 400 adoration stacks as well.
Can be huge.
Can be huge. If he can cash out with the Whirling Death, that is massive. We're going to play our game again as everyone goes for the resets here, Guldborg. First strike Ornn. First time we think we've seen it in competitive.
I don't think he's done too much.
How much damage?
Damage is like 160 now and around 200 gold.
Damage is 242, and he has 50% more gold than you thought he did. 299 gold.
Wow, I can't believe it.
A whole rune for 299 gold.
But the thing is as well, and I wanted to go into the misconception that people quite often have about First Strike. It's like, oh, you need to be ranged, you need to use it in laning phase, you need to build up a gold. It's not really the thing. It's a rune that scales with percentages. And because of that, because it's not a flat amount of damage, that just means that the more damage you build in the game, you of course get more of that in the late game. Easier to build up the percentages, easier to have more damage. So those 10%, can matter with Call of the Forge Guard.
I totally agree with the premise of your point. I will say on Ornn, it still doesn't seem like the best for me.
I agree. Cool. I'm just full copium at this point.
I can understand the copium. Well, if XL win, maybe we'll get Finn's side of the matter. Maybe there's something we're missing. There often is.
Oh, yeah.
Often is.
Especially when you see it first time. It's difficult staying on top of everything here. Now, Ornaments has started to come in for Finn, specifically for himself. Should be able to get them soon. For Patrik or Nukeduck, if they're looking for some of the upgraded items there. How good are you with those ornament item names?
I just make them up.
Oh, okay. What do we call Eclipse?
Total Eclipse.
Wow.
Solar Eclipse.
Damn.
Don't stare at the sun.
Now, that's a useful tip.
Yep.
You go blind. Don't do that. It'll damage your eyes. You'll need glasses. Trust me, I know about that.
Is that where yours came from?
I don't know.
A young Guldborg one day.
I was a dumb kid when I was young. Don't look at the sun. Okay, I'll look at the sun.
Yeah. An ocular Icarus just got too close to the sun. And XL right now, though, setting up around this mid lane. They really want to break this mid-tier one if they can. TP coming in behind, Dragon's Ascend, a possibility. Call of the Forge got used, Stormbringer as well. Everfrost going out as they look for the stun. A great hostile takeover hits onto 4 members. Gen X now joins the fray, spitting fire and spitting facts as SK look for a little bit more, though. You can see Treatz low, Sertuss has to flash away from Finn, and XL might look for a re-engage. Weavers just trying to separate the team here, not going to do too much. XL still pretty healthy, the Monsoon from Mikyx topping them up in the previous fight, and SK are now the ones that walk away wounded.
Yeah, but that's the thing, now that they're walking away wounded, they should be leaving the mid lane open if XL, they wanted to try and do some extra damage to it. Unfortunately, it seems like the side waves not really in a position for XL to capitalize on it, so they have to go collect on the gold there, so it's not lost to the turret, and just lost for nothing. So, play doesn't really lead to anything. We get an exciting fight, but it's still the same stakes of the game.
Patrik still wants to, like, get these stacks, man. He needs the cash. Got 496 of them now. Remember the, I think we said this earlier, the Whirling Death execute damage scales with your stacks. It was buffed a few patches ago now. Very strong if you can find someone, and everyone was quite low in that previous fight from SK. It's a little bit tricky for them to navigate. I think we've seen the sign of things to come in terms of team fights.
And the thing is, this actually matters more and more towards the late game if he hasn't catch up. Of course, as a Draven, it means a lot if you can catch up, you can get ahead of the goal curve and get item advantages. But in a game where you're playing competitive and it quite often comes down to that last team fight, you have 40-second death timers, not having cashed out, continuing to build up the adoration stacks can really just skewer the team fight in your favor and find the perfect fight when you really need it. Interesting point to at least have a look at later. Now, SK though, back in the driver's seat, they are invading on the breath buff. They're trying to take as many jungle camps as possible. It's exactly what you want to do when there's no neutral objectives to take. Of course, you take away the enemy jungle, you game on yourself. Gilius looking.
Good flash in by Gilius. They catch out Mikyx once again. He's been a punching bag for SK this game. Gen X coming in with the Dragon's Descent. Call of the Forge God. That's a stolen one. Nukeduck able to dodge to the side of it, but Gen X still on the chase. Sertuss coming in across the wall as well, and they find 2. Sertuss has been on a tear this weekend and continues to show up in week 4.
I think a lot, once again, comes down to the fact, SK, you know, we just had a break week. They were one of the few teams that actually decided, you know, we're not going to take a break. We're going to continue scrimming whenever we can. And I think it's showing a little bit that they are one of the teams that really wanted to stay on it. Now, Baron has been started up. It's a 4 versus 5 situation when Mikyx joins the fray.
Patrik has an upgraded Eclipse as well. The Whirling Death will do 500 extra damage to anyone below that threshold. Patrik's not going to use it, or knocked away. No Call of the Forge got used. SK secure the Baron. 25 minutes in, they are 4,000 gold ahead, and they have 3 minutes on that buff.
Pink's coming out now from XL. They want to get a division around the Drake area, but with 20 seconds and Baron empowered recalls coming through, I don't think they're going to be able to maintain the proper vision. Maybe they can look for a pickup if any of SK is overstepping, face checking. Doesn't really look like it just yet, though. They have itemized in terms of pink wards. They are getting the vision control back in their favor. You can see defensive vision, checking every corner, making sure no one's getting flanked here, and they should have the intel on XL in just a bit. Cloud Soul now has spawned, and they're setting up for it. XL, what's your next move? Looks like they're just going to be going on a tactical retreat, and SK continue with the objective control.
SK in control of this game now. I have had a quick look at the name of the Eclipse upgrade, the ornament.
Wasn't Total Eclipse?
No, it's the Syzygy.
What?
And yeah, I had to Google the definition myself as well. It's an arrangement in which 2 or more planets, stars are in a straight line. So you know when they talk about like the
Star Guardians?
concordance of the stars or the confluence of the stars or whatever that is in astrology where they all line up, and then the big bad is released to the world and something with, you know, ancient Egyptian tombs and a sarcophagus and all of that jazz?
No.
That? Okay, well.
Now,
that's the Syzygy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for explaining it, though. You're very patient with me. I appreciate it. Now, 3 members of XL are trying to stop the siege on the second tier. It's not going to be able to do it. And speaking of second, they are playing on 2 lanes. Jezu now pushing in the mid lane.
Should be able to get some damage down onto this tower. Maybe Call of the Forge got a possibility for Finn. Decides against using it, but SK playing the map very well right now. 2 inner towers taken with this Baron buff. 3,000 gold gained from it so far. Wave not in the best state for them to move towards the top lane, but bounties now on the board for XL.
That's, of course, a worrying trend. If you are an XL fan, seeing that you're not really in this game currently. Gilius, Hex Flash once again, finds one.
For some, Janna's coming in as well. Call of the Forge has been used. Nukeduck is low. Hostile takeover once again. Hits onto 3, but Patrik not in this fight yet. Whirling Death goes out, but everyone's just too damn tanky. Sertuss stole away the Monsoon, I believe, in the middle of that and was able to heal up his team just a little bit. Mikyx down once again, and SK looking to down this tower in the mid lane. They'll follow it up with the inhibitor itself.
And this is looking good for SK. We were wondering if yesterday was just a fluke, but they continue with the same trends, with the same signs of life. Good reads in the early game, proactivity for Gilius as well. Everything we lacked for SK at the start of the split, they've polished, and they continue with it. And speaking of proactivity, once again, Gilius with the Hex Flash finds Nukeduck. No flash available. Good.
Cleanses out Nukeduck. He's able to get away. I think Sertuss here, yeah, steals away the Monsoon. Does heal up his team as that Whirling Death comes in to make sure no one's executed by Patrik. Don't think anyone was quite close enough, but you never know.
You don't want to take the chance when those adoration stacks keep building up, and when he's not dying, well, he's retaining them. And I don't know how many we're actually seeing right now, but
we'll find out in a second. Have a look. SK in general having a great game so far. And I do feel a bit sorry for Mikyx, because when you're on the Janna in this situation, if you don't have flash, you're kind of just dead. Because they just Hex Flash into you, you can't really do anything about it.
I'm just saying, there is a potential where you can just Howling Gale, the Janna out of the E, or the Gilius Poppy out of the E if you got Fast Finger. You play Rakan, you know how this interaction works.
That is true, that is true. Just has been very difficult for him so far. It feels like SK and Gilius feeling a little bit of the miracle run that we saw from Schalke a long time ago. Gilius going for Patrik, cleanse flash away, Call of the Forge God coming out, Weaver's War used as well. XL trying to separate the Spider a little bit. Hostile takeover used to disengage, jump forward by Janna. Puts a bit more damage down with the Flame's Breath, and that tank Shyvana being a meat shield in front of SK right now.
No need to overreach for SK right now. You have super minions pushing in the middle lane. At some point, XL will have to respond to that pressure. So just don't overcommit, be patient about it.
One of the reasons we do see this Shyvana picked, and often, knocked back with the Keeper's Verdict.
That's a good ult.
They will be able to get the tier 2 here in the top lane. SK should back away after this minute and a half on the next Cloud Dragon. Would only be the third of the game for either of these teams, but still, sizable objective to secure for yourself.
Gilius just saying, if you don't leave, well, I'll force you. And shoving 2 members back. Still looking quite great for them. Can recall now. Kind of regroup around the cloud would be soul point for them as well. Not that it's going to be the big breaking point for XL right now, the fact that SK gets another one. But the big one to wait for will, of course, be that Baron in 1 minute. They have the Kalista. They have the potential to start it up. Gilius as well, of course, can just knock Markoon away with that ultimate. There's a lot of things that could go right for SK right now. And for XL, unfortunately, it's the opposite case.
SK now going to step forward into this jungle, gain some control over this area. Not really prioritizing Baron vision. They do have a 20-second window between the Baron and the Cloud Drake spawning. And Super's pushing in the mid lane. It looks like they're using that window to gain control over this bottom side. Janna can shove in the wave. No TP for him. Means he'll probably rejoin his team at some point to make sure that they're in prime position to take this Cloud Drake. Of course, a possible engage from XL across the wall with the Call of the Forge God and the Weaver's Wall. They can close the gap very quickly, but don't really want to do that on a full tank Shyvana.
It's difficult for them to find that space as well. And we were even talking about the Kalista, how it was going to be neutralized by Nukeduck on the Taliyah as well. But the problem is, the fights has been so well engaged by Gilius and the follow-up coming afterwards that it's never really been a position where you just straight front-to-back team fight and you get to create that space. SK has been very good at maneuvering around it, and even now, just the side lane productivity, that Taliyah's Weaver's Wall, if anything, you can clear out the bot side, you can kind of try and nullify some of the pressure coming out for waves, and then join in with your team. But I think that's it. That's what Nukeduck can use it for right now. You're not going to be throwing yourself into the enemy team when you don't have a stopwatch.
And you can see now Sertuss has been assigned bot lane duty because he has the teleport. XL tried to get a couple of wards around this Baron pit, but they only got 2 controls that have already been swept away. Gilius can put a couple of wards a little bit deeper here alongside Treatz. 1 control ward up towards that red buff. Sertuss hovering in darkness. Whirling Death comes out. Gilius Dashing forward once again with a Hex Flash. Jenix going in as well. Markoon's going to have to Stormbringer away from this, and that's huge. Means he can't jump into the back of a pit if a fight begins around that. Hostile takeover flashed away from Call of the Forge God being used by Finn just to distract SK. Weaver's Wall hops in as well, but just keeps Jenix and Sertuss on one side of it for a second. They'll happily accept the Razor Beaks as forfeit for that, and they turn back towards the Baron.
Yeah, crucially as well, I think Gilius' ultimate got cancelled, so he will have it up again in just 1 second. Markoon no ultimate himself, nothing to deny it, and they're playing spoiler now. Sertuss on.
This can do a lot of work. Oh, so much damage onto Markoon. Baron down to 6,000, the render possibility. Markoon flashing forward, looking for Jenix, doesn't have that Dragon's Descent, doesn't have that ultimate. Markoon too deep here though, has already used the flash and now has to dash back to the base as he goes down. Sertuss still on the flank position. What have we got in terms of ults for XL? None. Not one, not a jot of hope, perhaps, for them to get into this pit. Yeah. They'll be waiting for that Call of the Forge God again. Sertuss just distracting them, but the Baron already down to 5,000. No smite as well for XL.
Looking like a dire situation, unless that Howling Gale is going to be the miracle. It's just not. And Baron gets picked up by SK. What do they have to use it right now? They have bot lane pushing in, top lane pushing in. XL's going to have to respond to that. Still naked inhibitor in the mid lane, which is going to be an easy point of attack for SK as well. There's so many opportunities, and you have so many tools in your repertoire now as well as SK to continue the sieging.
You really do. You're in such a strong position. Janix basically unkillable on this Shyvana. Continues to hassle XL. The rest of SK in such a strong position themselves, and even those ornaments that are coming out from Finn are delayed because he's not getting XP. He's only level 15. Look at Janix, 17. Sertuss, 17. Nukeduck, the only person that's already got his tier 3 ultimate on the side of XL. So Finn has only been able to give out 2 ornaments so far. One, that Syzygy, and one, the Moonstone Renewer. Renewist? Renewist. Moonstone Renewist, that's what we're going to call it. Gilius once again. He's been doing this Hex Flash strat a lot. This game has only the normal flash now, so we'd have to not channel it, just use it normally. But he's not really looking for it at the moment. He's just trying to keep XL busy and interested as Sertuss now pushes in the mid lane.
And SK actually playing on 3 lanes. We don't actually see this too often, but with a naked inhibitor, it's just so easy for them to still stay grouped because you're sieging along the base. Easy for Jenix to make his way down if he needs to. Easy for Sertuss as well. He stole away the Reaver's Wall. I wonder if he's looking to just, you know, zone them away for that bot lane turret once the next wave comes in, and then just move up and take the turret away. Still no inhibitors has fallen. Topside inhibitor turret has just laid or been put to rest rather, and now coming in with the bot side wave. Let's see how that Weaver Walls gets used.
There's the Weaver's Wall. Patrik on the wrong side of it, has to flash. Good wall there by Sertuss to keep XL away from the tower. Minions can't get in either. Maybe for the moment we see the knockback onto Patrik. Mid lane inhibitor falls. Gilius going in once again. Jezu trying to put the damage down onto this inhibitor tower. TP coming in from Jenix as well. Sertuss forced away. Call of the Forge God used by Finn. Whirling Death just wide. Hostile takeover once again. Not going to be able to do too much, and Finn is just too deep. XL though, Gilius now, the cash out. That was like 1.3k for Patrik. That's huge for him. Nukeduck keeping Janix distracted down towards the bottom side, but he will fall. It's going to be a 4v4 in the base of XL to see if they can claim the win. Patrik needs to get back, spend that gold, but it's triple inhib for SK and XL. They have defender's advantage, they can heal up, but Sertuss is now once again back with his team. The handshake's gonna pull Mikyx back, no Monsoon for him. Markoon trying to get in, but no flash, no Stormbringer, makes it a bit difficult. There's the Stormbringer to follow up. Call of the Forge God coming out from Sertuss, gets 1. Finn next on the menu, it's 2, it's 3 for SK. Mikyx can only stand and watch as SK claim their first perfect week of summer.
And that's beautiful to see from a team that's been struggling, been having issues finding their footing, finally finding their place as a team as well. That extra training rather has definitely paid off for this team. They took it against G2. Was it just a fluke? No, they prove it again today against XL.
Huge wins.
And you know, XL's strong start to the split. Same could be said for G2, but now SK taking over. And maybe it might just be a sight for future references to come as well, what this roster can really deliver.
I'm just saying, I'm already writing the D&D script where we do Gilius, God of Lee Sin, Ascent to God, and Kwame this win.
But I also think it's finally Jezu back in the position we have expected Treatz and Jezu in for the longest time. When we saw them be reunited in spring, I think we had higher expectations as to what this bot lane could do. Those expectations weren't met. But for this week specifically, with the aggression they had in 2v2s, finding 2v2 yesterday and today as well, it's been looking great for the SK bot lane.
It really has. And of course for the SK mid laner, your clear player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter, Janna, Sertuss and Treatz. I think collectively over the weekend, I would give it to Sertuss. This game, obviously give it to whoever you want to, but I think Sertuss, in terms of total performance over the weekend, was the standout player of SK for me.
My read as well always was specifically for Sertuss in Spring was when he was on a champion where he had agency on for himself, he was actually able to perform. But when you started putting him on control mages, he was very reliant on how you play together with the team instead. And I think having a mid laner with the mechanical capabilities of playing champions like the Akali, like the Sylas as well, taking control from a melee matchup and using that in so many different ways. You even saw it here just stealing away Mikyx's ultimate on the Janna to keep the team alive. I think that's a really great sight to see, and it shows the flexibility you need from a good mid laner.
I definitely agree with you. SK going from strength to strength. It seems XL struggling a little bit this weekend. A few signs of discord within how they're playing their games. Their early game, obviously, yesterday was really strong, but today they struggled against SK. So things that need to change for them. Obviously, 2 best of 1s doesn't define a team. Like we said this yesterday about G2. Like we still expect XL, if they can continue the form they had at the start of the season, to be in playoffs at the end. Question is, will they be able to refine that form?
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, because even just moving forward towards playoffs, right? Just remember G2 in Spring, they look really back and forth all the time, and it was only when they really ramped up towards playoffs. I think Perks has a very memorable quote as well, where it doesn't matter how a regular season goes. Everything that matters is how you show up in playoffs as well. Yep. And that's not to say that they're not learning anything here, because these are the experiences that's going to shape you on towards playoffs. So moving forward, great side, and I mean, it's good to struggle as well for teams like XL and G2.
And it's good to win as well. I'm sure our interviewee, Gilius, who's standing by with David Bowie, is going to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you very much, Manic. You're 100% correct. Gilius, what the hell is SK feeding you guys? 2-0 on the week. You come in after the break and look like a completely different team. What's happening?
Yeah, so the break was great for us because we, at the start of the split, we had some problems with health. Some players were really sick, and I think it affected the team a lot when only 3 people were in the office. And after the break, now we're healthy. And we had great scrims this week, so I think that's why we play good.
Do you have any insight or any knowledge on what some of the other teams from the LEC did during that break week? We've heard some people took some time off, some people trained. Do you think it's had an influence on the games this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I think some player... Is my mic working?
I think that it is. I think that it is.
Okay,
I don't think it's in the building, but it should be going to stream.
Yeah, I think some players went to their home countries for a little break while we all stayed and scrimmed more than them, I guess. So I think these breaks can be negative or positive, but we, I think, use it really well.
I mean, it definitely shows. I think we have the standings to bring up. I want to ask you, what on earth is going to happen for the next few weeks? We're rounding out the first half of summer. Yeah. SK were at 1-6 on a 6-game losing streak, and now 1 game behind 4th place. So how do we possibly judge and read this?
Honestly, I still believe I can go to Worlds this split. Judging from scrims, every team is beatable. So we will just try to ride the momentum and keep winning. And usually I'm pretty good in win streaks, so I feel really good right now. So I hope we can just keep winning.
I mean, the miracle run, God, Gilius is back, the team's looking good. Do you think there's going to be more competition for those Worlds seeds this year? Because it feels like so many teams can beat everybody in the league.
Yeah, I think this split is interesting than the others. We don't have these 2 teams that crush everyone. Everyone drops games here and there. So yeah, it's an open field, and I think everyone can do it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about next week, and then I've got one more question before I let you go. BDS and Mad Lions, we're now going to start the second half of the round robin. BDS was the first win of the season. What's going to happen with those games? Because Mad Lions look pretty on form right now.
BDS should be, we will crush them, I think. And then...
That's what I like, Berlin.
And then Mad Lions, they are very good. I have a lot of respect for Elioya and Kaiser and Niski coming in. Obviously, they look a lot better than before. So, yeah, it's going to be a hard match, but if we can beat the teams we did this week, we can beat them as well.
Okay, last question. I asked Comp this yesterday. It's a difficult and an unfair one. Which 4 teams will not make playoffs this summer?
I think the gentleman behind me, Astralis, will not make playoffs.
BDS, Astralis and BDS, we can chuck those 2 in there.
Yeah, so BDS, Astralis...
XL, Misfits,
I think Mad Lions maybe.
Come on, I need 2 more,
It's hard to say, honestly. I think Misfits is just really lucky right now with their late game teamfights and objective bounties. I think once people figure out how to close out, they're also going to fall out.
So then give me Vitality or Mad Lions as the fourth one that doesn't make it.
I mean,
Ooh.
it's
tough.
It's hard to say. Yeah.
Gilius, thank you so much. Congratulations on the
Thank you.
2-0. We're going to head to ad break, and when we're back, the analyst desk will take us into the next game.
Thank you.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Did anyone